You won't believe it. What is secretly happening to your body?
Just because of a seemingly harmless habit that many people over 50 are still repeating every day. Maybe you're doing it too, and thinking it's okay. But the truth is completely different.
Are you over 50?
Do you still keep the habit of self-care whenever you need it?
Stop for a moment.
Because what I'm about to share right now, it might make you startle and look back at yourself. Have you ever wondered, is masturbation in middle age and old age really safe and harmless as many people think?
Have you ever heard a doctor?
Or anyone dare to speak frankly about the silent effects of this habit? This is not a rumor.
Not a warning spread on the internet.
But the medical evidence. Little known, but worth listening to.
And what about you?
What do you think about masturbation after 50? Share your thoughts in the comments below. Who knows, your story might help others look back at themselves. Now,
let's begin exploring
a topic that is both delicate and extremely important for old age. You know, masturbation, also known as masturbation, is not inherently a bad thing, even for those who do not have a partner or live alone in middle age. It is a way to release physiological needs in a discreet and safe way. There was a time when many psychologists encouraged it because it is harmless and also helps reduce stress and sleep better. But things are not so simple anymore. When you pass the age of 50, at this age,
the body begin to change.
Slowly but surely. First, sex hormones gradually decrease, reducing desire and the ability to recover after each intercourse. Second, blood pressure is easily fluctuating, and strong physical stimulation can cause the heart to beat abnormally fast. Third, the cardiovascular system weakens with age. And this is an extremely important factor, but few people pay attention to it. Finally, and few people talk about it, is that sexual function begins to decline significantly. So what will happen if you keep masturbating as often as when you were young?
Is it dangerous?
The answer is yes. Let's listen to a real situation. From the medical record of a cardiologist in Hanoi, a man, 55 years old, divorced for a long time,
living alone.
He shared that he usually masturbates 2 to 3 times a day.
A way to sleep well and reduce loneliness. Until one evening,
after the third time that day, he felt a sharp pain in his chest.
Cold sweat.
His face was pale, and his breathing was irregular. His relatives took him to the emergency room that night. Result: diagnosed with mild heart failure due to excessive physiological exertion. The body is no longer strong enough to withstand the contraction of the heart, while he is still trying to create pleasure like when he was 30 years old. So the question is, after 50 years old, is masturbation still safe?
After the above story,
perhaps you have also partly understood that masturbation, if abused, is no longer a harmless behavior as many people think. Especially when you have passed the age of 50, or are in your 60s, 70s. Your body is no longer the same as before.
Every small action
can also lead to many big consequences that you do not foresee. So, if you maintain the habit of masturbation too much, what will happen?
The harmful effects
are not just fatigue or low blood pressure, but can also directly affect the heart, memory, and long-term physiological health. There are silent effects that do not manifest immediately, but are dangerous in the long term. And to help you visualize better, let's move on to the next part. 7 dangerous effects of excessive masturbation in old age. These are things that most older people are not warned about. But you, if you are watching this video, will be the one to know in advance to prevent them. First is increased risk of erectile dysfunction. This is a silent obsession of many men after the age of 50. You may think that masturbating will help maintain your manhood. But in fact, the opposite.
When you masturbate too much,
especially for a long time, Your body will be exhausted of hormones, especially testosterone. The more you repeat this habit too much, the more lazy your brain becomes to respond to natural stimuli. This leads to a decrease in real desire when you are close to your partner or when you want to have real sex.
In the long run,
the nerves involved in sexual reflexes also weaken. At first, it is difficult to get an erection. Then it is impossible to get an erection at all. And finally, many people fall into permanent erectile dysfunction, without regaining the feeling of masculinity as before. But that's just the tip of the iceberg, because excessive masturbation not only affects physiological functions, but also directly affects sleep and overall health. Many people mistakenly think that masturbation helps you sleep easily. They even consider it a natural sedative. However, the truth is not that simple. When you masturbate too often, the brain will have to continuously secrete hormones such as dopamine and endorphins, substances that cause temporary feelings of excitement and comfort. At first, you feel relaxed. But if you repeat it too much, the body will lose its ability to naturally regulate sleep. As a result, you will not sleep deeply, wake up often in the middle of the night, wake up tired, have no energy, even though you have slept enough hours. Over time, this condition persists, leading to chronic fatigue. The body is always in a state of lethargy, lack of vitality, lack of memory,
irritability. And the worst thing is,
you will have to depend on masturbation every night to be able to sleep. A vicious cycle that is very difficult to escape. Poor sleep,
prolonged fatigue,
is just the first sign. But behind that is a deeper danger that few people pay attention to. That is, the silent decline of sex hormones. And this is the third dangerous effect. Decreased testosterone in men, and decreased estrogen in women.
Imagine it like this.
Sex hormones are the fuel that helps your body maintain health, desire, alertness, and stable vitality. In men, it is testosterone. In women, it is estrogen. After the age of 50, the amount of this hormone has begun to decrease naturally. But if you masturbate too much, especially with a dependent mentality,
the body will lose hormonal balance even faster.
For men, too little testosterone can lead to loss of muscle, easy to accumulate belly fat, reduced sex drive, lack of concentration, irritability. For women, estrogen deficiency can cause dry skin, hair loss,
hot flash, insomnia,
menstrual disorders or early menopause, reduced pleasure and pain during sex. The danger is that this hormone level cannot recover to the level of youth. And if it drops too low, you may have to take hormone supplements, which are both expensive and have many potential side effects. So, really consider
before letting a personal habit cause serious consequences for your own long-term health.
After the hormone drops, not only does your body lose strength, but your mood also starts to decline. And this is the fourth dangerous effect. Excessive masturbation can lead to depression and isolation. It may sound unrelated, but in fact it is very common in older people. When you relieve yourself regularly alone,
in a closet space where no one knows,
a feeling of guilt or shame can silently form. Over time, you become reluctant to interact, afraid to meet friends, afraid to participate in community activities. Instead, you withdraw into your own world, and only feel comfortable when you are alone. And this can easily lead to
a feeling of prolonged loneliness
and disconnection with loved ones, which leads to a feeling of emptiness and lack of motivation. Finally, a feeling of latent depression that you don't even realize. Masturbation is a personal behavior, but if you become too dependent on it,
you will lose valuable connection with the outside world.
And at some point, you will no longer feel interested in anything other than that habit.
After the mind is the heart, the fifth dangerous effect
that you need to pay special attention to is impaired cardiovascular function when overexcited. At the age of 20-30, each time the heart beats fast when climaxing, the body can recover very quickly. But after the age of 50, the heart is no longer as strong as before. The blood vessels begin to harden. Blood pressure fluctuates erratically. And every time you masturbate too hard, your heart will have to strain to endure that excitement. What happens inside causes
The heart to beat abnormally.
blood vessels to contract suddenly, blood pressure to skyrocket, and blood rushes to the brain and genitals at the same time. If it's just once, the body can handle it. But if it is repeated many times a week, a month, the risk of arrhythmia, even mild myocardial infarction, will increase significantly. Many doctors have received cases. Older people with angina, temporary loss of consciousness, right after masturbating too hard. And most of them have no idea that their heart is so weak. So be careful. Overexcitement, even alone,
Consti exhaust your heart.
especially when you are no longer in your prime. Next is a harmful effect that many people are afraid to talk about. But it happens more than you think. Sixth dangerous effect: causing damage to the genital area due to incorrect use or wrong tools. As you get older, the skin and soft tissue in the genital area are no longer as elastic as before.
Just a strong impact.
Or incorrect posture can also cause scratches, blood clots, and even infections. Some people, out of curiosity or wanting to change the feeling, have used items such as bottles, faucets, electric toothbrushes, and even homemade tools, without any instructions or hygiene measures. The result is scratches in the genital area, chapped, red, or burning, infections caused by bacteria from hands or unsterilized objects. In women, prone to dryness, damage to the vaginal wall. In men, prone to penile hematoma, edema, or pain when urinating. There have been cases of having to be hospitalized for infection or bleeding in the genital area, just because of masturbating in unsafe ways. In young people, small wounds can heal quickly, but at the age of 50 to 60, the recovery process is much slower, and if not cleaned properly, it can easily turn into a widespread infection. Therefore, even if it is a private act, you need to be absolutely careful. Do not be arbitrary.
Do not try strange things.
And most importantly, always listen to your body. And finally, is a silent but very dangerous influence. That is, increasing the risk of habit dependence, instead of finding a balanced solution. At first, masturbation is just a temporary behavior, to relieve stress, to help sleep, or simply kill time. But if you repeat it regularly, it is no longer a solution, but becomes a fixed habit in daily life. Whenever you are sad, do it. Whenever you are tired, do it.
Whenever you are lonely, do it.
Gradually, your brain forms a reflex mechanism. Every time you have negative emotions, it will push you to repeat that behavior as a quick fix. And then you depend on it. Dependent without even knowing it.
More dangerously.
When that behavior takes the place of healthier options. Instead of exercising, you choose to lie in your room, masturbate. Instead of going out to socialize, you withdraw, hide. Instead of confiding in your children, you choose silence, and deal with it alone.
In the long run,
Your life will be narrowed. Joy no longer comes from natural things, but only from a repetitive behavior in solitude. That is the sign of dependence. And dependence is always the path to mental breakdown, slowly but surely. After hearing about the 7 dangerous effects, you may be worried and wondering, so should I stop masturbating completely? The answer is, not everyone needs to abstain completely, and you should not feel ashamed or guilty just because you still have the need.
the important thing here
Is not yes or no, but how much is enough? How much is safe? You need to clearly distinguish between healthy behavior and uncontrolled abuse. For middle-aged or older people, if the body is still healthy, without serious underlying diseases such as severe cardiovascular disease, uncontrolled high blood pressure, diabetes complications, then masturbating 1 to 2 times a week, with a comfortable mentality, without rushing, without forcing, without hiding too much, is still considered healthy sexual behavior. It even helps reduce stress, improve sleep, increase pelvic blood circulation, especially keep alert and emotionally stable. However, if you start to feel dependent, or the behavior affects other aspects of your life, it is no longer healthy. See if you have the following signs. 1. Thinking about masturbation too often during the day. You have difficulty concentrating on work, reading, talking, because your mind is constantly drawn to sensitive images or sexual fantasies. 2. You feel guilty or tired after each time. Instead of feeling relaxed, you feel lost, empty. Some people even feel ashamed of themselves. 3. Start to neglect exercise, eating and communication. You are afraid to go out.
Lazy to meet friends.
Instead, you prefer to be alone and get it out as a way to escape negative emotions. 4. Feeling uncomfortable if not satisfied. You may feel irritable, have trouble sleeping, or feel anxious if you don't masturbate for a few days. This is a clear sign of psychological dependence. If you are noticing 2 or 3 of these signs,
take a break.
Don't continue that habit until your mind and body are back in balance. Because when a habit begins to dominate your mind, emotions, and daily activities, it is no longer an active choice, but has become a form of addiction, whether mild or severe. Once you have distinguished between healthy and abuse, you may begin to wonder, what if I still have the need, but I am afraid of the impact on my health? Is there a way to balance? The answer is yes. You don't have to suppress yourself to the point of stress. But instead of letting masturbation become the only way out, you can completely replace it with activities that help the brain produce dopamine naturally, without the need for physiological stimulation. You can
take a light walk in the morning or cool afternoon. Just 15-30 minutes a day.
To help blood circulation, stimulate the brain to secrete dopamine and serotonin, 2 natural happy hormones. Or listen to meditation music, combined with deep breathing exercises. The gentle sound helps relax the nerves. When you breathe properly, oxygen reaches the brain fully, reduces stress, stabilizes heart rate, and makes it easier to sleep. Not only that, you can read a book, take care of a flower or a pet. These activities bring a sense of connection, peace,
helping you escape from feeling of emptiness or boredom.
In particular, when you take care of another living being, the brain automatically secretes oxytocin, a hormone of attachment and safety. In addition, if you regularly have high blood pressure after releasing, have signs of rapid heartbeat, unusual anxiety,
or fil prolongé d'insomnia, nos natural désirs,
or suspect that you are overly dependent on masturbation, then don't hesitate to consult a doctor, especially a urologist, endocrinologist, or psychologist. They can help you safely adjust your hormones, psychology, and lifestyle habits. There is no shame in having needs. The important thing is to choose healthy ways to treat yourself, and to stop when your body starts to speak. After all that has been shared, perhaps you have a clearer view of the downside of excessive masturbation. But to help you understand more deeply, and have a view from a medical and psychological perspective, let's listen to the opinions of those in the industry. A doctor of Oriental medicine, who has more than 20 years of experience in middle-aged physiological health, once shared a very thoughtful sentence. Excessive masturbation harms the marrow and damages vital energy, especially after the age of 50. According to traditional medicine, vital energy is the root of health,
the origin of life, intelligence and longevity.
Each ejaculation is a time of consuming vital energy, and the elderly body can hardly compensate for it like when they were young.
The consequences will come slowly.
Such as back pain, dizziness, blurred vision, weakness, insomnia, and memory loss. From another perspective, a clinical psychologist looks at this issue from the inside of the mind. Older people often masturbate as a way to relieve loneliness. But if not controlled well, this habit makes them increasingly withdrawn and distant from real life. That is, when you have no one to share your feelings with. It is easy to choose the simplest way, to release your physiology. But if you do not treat the root cause of neglected emotions, this behavior is only a temporary solution. And in the long run, it will make your mood worse. So,
A balance between physical and mental health
is extremely important when entering middle age. Pay attention to your own emotions.
Listen to your body.
And if necessary, do not hesitate to seek professional help for the right help. After listening to the sharing from doctors and experts, hopefully you have a more complete and calm view of self-care behavior in middle age and old age. Because sex is a part of life. At any age, it is not bad. It is not worth judging. But to live a truly healthy and happy life, we need more than temporary pleasure.
Physical health, mental balance,
And sincere, warm relationships are the foundation for us to live fully, even in old age. So,
understand your body. Love yourself.
gently, correctly, and respectfully. If you find this video helpful, don't hesitate to leave a comment to share your thoughts. You can also click subscribe to watch more health and wellness videos and honest sharing, specifically for middle-aged and elderly people.
Wishing you good health and happy life.
And see you in the next videos.